Hello, internet people, good people, all the people on the internet who are good, including you, Joe. I'm assuming Joe's still listening. Welcome to Off the Deep End. It's been a year, one full year of this circus, this nonsense, this terrible idea, and we've flogged it through. We survived. We're a quarter of the way through outliving the Confederacy, which was our stated goal at some point. So,
yes.
Whoop whoop, we're getting there. This is, rather than focusing on a game, or a pile of games in particular, this is a victory lap for that first year, and we're gonna do our own damn Goaty show, covering our games.
Our own Goatsy?
Our own Goatsy, that's right. Everyone
that's right.
squat
Wide
down.
open.
I've
never seen the video in question.
I still think of the Giant Bomb episode about Goro, extra pair of hands to hold himself open.
16. This is our 15 episodes of high quality podcasting entertainment over the past year
for the kids. No, that's the endurance run. Hi, I'm Jeff. Joined as always by Braden, Arbitrary Water Redacted. Hello, Braden.
I'm staring at dating apps and wondering where my life went wrong. February.
Also joining me, as always, Chris, Zombie Pie Redacted. Hello, Chris.
Glad to be on the right side of history related to the best Mario RPG, and also to not be a cheese curd eating communist.
Listen, cheese curds, wonderful.
Tastes
food.
like you're
I love
eating
a squeaky cheese.
the pituitary gland of a fat kid with a glandular problem.
Hey,
that's
first
what
of
cheese
all,
curds taste like.
God loves fat kids. Second of all, it's because you're from California, where miserable cows
fuck that.
live.
When I go to Canada and they serve me poutine, I either flick off the cheese curds, or I just ask, give me fries with gravies and cheddar on top.
It's just a barbaric thing you're doing. Just barbarism.
I'm sorry that I don't like musky bubble gum, used gum that,
If the cheese curds are getting, you can describe them as musky, it's a bad cheese curd. I'll tell you that. It should be salty.
I'm sorry that I don't like eating like plastic straws. With like a moderate cheese aftertaste.
Shout outs to the YouTube channel Ordinary Sausage, where at some point he made a sausage out of sausage casings. He said it just tasted like chewing on ears. You know?
Oh, does Braden have some sort of input to provide about these awful tasting cheese glumps?
I like a squeaky cheese.
Ew.
Yeah, on God's team over here. Yeah, so I guess we're going to do some video game stuff. We're a Goaty show, in fact, about them. Before we do that, I guess we have all sorts of preamble shit we like to do, historically. But I'm actually gonna grab this microphone right now, because something happened to me this weekend that I have to talk about, and it does relate, I swear to God, to video games. So, as my father begins stories, so there I was. Me and my wife, we were married for 2 years, and I don't know if you noticed, but there's been...
your wife. I've met you.
Yeah, I'm real.
You're a real person?
I'm
a real person?
He is real.
I
can confirm. We have not gone out on just like a go out on the town real like date thing in about 2 years. Because I don't know if you know this, but there's a play. I said we should probably do this. So for Crimbus, I booked us a hotel in downtown Seattle, which is like just up the road from here. Because it's like, what the hell? We have not just done like touristy Seattle crap since we started dating. So we did that. We stayed at a hotel. I booked us some out-of-doors dining for 2 days, and we spent way too much goddamn money dining out in Seattle because it's just gotten fucking buck wild up there. It's like $20 shishito peppers and crap. It's insane.
Wow. Thanks, Joe Biden.
Yeah, exactly. Seattle was well on its way. Seattle did not need Joe Biden to invent like a $20 Avo toast. They entrepreneurs did that. But anyway, we got back to a hotel room, and they have cable television on like a very large television, and like cable's kind of novel to us, so we're just like, let's just fuck around. And she used to watch a lot of Toonami. I used to watch less Toonami, but I did. So it's like, oh, let's see what's on Cartoon Network. It's like the Toonami block. And the little channel guy said Shenmue. Yeah. I was like, what? And I was like, what the fuck is this? It's like, oh, this is the world premiere of an anime based on Shenmue, and it's happening in like 5 minutes. And it's like, whatever other plans we had in this hotel room have now been totally cast aside. We should watch Shenmue. And dig this, my wife was like, yes, we should. So I watched...
That's how you know you got the right one.
Yes, I broke her. 40 hours of different Shenmue games over a couple years. That'll do it. So we watched the first episode of the debut of the Shenmue anime, and I've got to say, it's fine. It's like exactly fine. It's okay. It's okay. The one thing, mad shout-outs to Krista Lee, the artist behind the soundtrack to Get in the Car Loser, and someone who's done a bunch of electronics work for me. She said it better than I ever could. The one thing it did pretty nice is kind of emphasize how disruptive the whole thing is to Ryo's life, that like, here's this successful karate kid who had like a future and was actively in school, and then spoilers for 21-year-old game, his dad just gets murked, and he's like, ah shit, I'm gonna go on a revenge quest for the rest of my life.
Where is this watched? Where do you consume this? Is it Hulu? Is it Netflix? Is it...
This was literally on Cartoon Network.
I believe it is also on Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
It's
some kind of joint production between... It seems like there's a bunch of hands in the pie. There's EastNet. There is the Crunchyroll people. It's got distribution on Cartoon Network, so presumably Turner, which I think is owned by something else now. I think there's Sony hands on it too.
Warner Brothers.
And,
Warner Brothers owns Cartoon Network.
Okay, so there you go. And also, funny, haha, it's done by the One Punch Man studio, which I've not actually watched One Punch Man. Yes, I know I probably
It's okay.
should. But there's literally a One Punch Man joke in there, basically, where Ryo wins a karate tournament with like a single punch on a dude, and the whole thing still frames, and he's just dialoguing over it. It's kind of weird. But if it tricks, stroke, generates interest in the youths to go play Shenmue, I support it. It's a great and terrible game. That's my anecdote about the Shenmue anime. It's okay.
I thought when you said that there was stuff to discuss, we were going to talk about the Nintendo Direct for a podcast about weird, obscure RPGs. Okay, fine.
They showered us in glory.
So I was streaming a video game when I also made a bingo sheet and was playing Ogre Battle while the Nintendo Direct happened, when I was assaulted with another a tease upon my very soul, an assault upon my being and my personal brand of bullshit, when they said, hey man, what if we made another Fire Emblem Muso?
But
there's no but.
There's no but.
That game looks like butt. The game looks like
you want to talk
like
about a game that looks like butt? Let's talk about the Chrono Cross fucking remake that they're apparently doing.
Yeah, that remaster of Chrono Cross sure does look like very straightforward upscale.
That game looks like trash.
With some font choices.
Yeah, if we're perfectly honest, I've played the quote-unquote remaster, re-envisioning upscale versions of 7 and 9. That they're selling digitally now too on modern consoles. I think they're using the same whatever they're using to generate those assets, because it's a bad looking upscale. It makes me just kind of appreciate soft PlayStation 1-ness, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, like you lose.
I'm glad
something.
that Front Mission is getting another chance. That's not that bad. Xbox Live Arcade game, PSN game.
Front Mission evolved.
People are. Yes. I'm glad that all of the actually good Front Mission games that are worth a damn are coming over. A lot of people are really excited for Live a Live. It's just, I will continue to reiterate the same point that I've made. The idea of playing Live a Live at 60 frames per second is a bad fucking deal. I really hope that they solve that, because the action sequences are going to be goddamn nigh unplayable if it's at like standard refresh rates on, standard technology.
I would hope that they do not just translate them to 1-to-1.
Knowing Square Enix and how much care they put into the ports that aren't Final Fantasy VII.
Hey man, it's a remake. It's not a port.
So yeah, if that doing the tea leaf shit with this, if you go backwards in time half a year, basically there was that big NVIDIA leak that happened, which suggested this Chrono Cross thing was going to occur, which has now transpired.
Which would mean that a friend of ours, that Pinguino Grieco, got his fingers crossed, because also part of that NVIDIA link was a full-on remake/remaster of Final Fantasy IX. Which, Jeff, I think that Gino's going to force us to replay Final Fantasy IX if that comes out.
I mean, I know he listens to this show, so I'll just say it just so he can hear me say it. I look forward to playing, if they're going to give Final Fantasy IX, of all of these games, that treatment they gave to that Final Fantasy VII remake, I look forward to playing it. Because
I just hope that they put in all of the quality of life additions, or they do something to speed the shit up.
I mean, they'd have to, right? If they're going to make an ARPG out of Final Fantasy IX, it solves some of my biggest problems with Final Fantasy IX, right off the bat.
But everyone's like, oh man, so they're going to do a 7 remake combat system in 9. You kind of, I don't know.
What else would you do? It's a.
I mean, there's so much of the item and
made
equipment.
It a good game.
Yeah.
I've never played Final Fantasy IX.
It's fine. It's fine. It's a fine
It's
game.
a whimsical adventure. I think with modern graphics, it would look good. If they're going to rewrite all of Final Fantasy VII for the sake of this new canon, I sure hope that they rewrite Final Fantasy IX.
Yeah.
Just don't have Necron at the end of the game. Just write him out. Just have a final form of fucking Kuja.
I think if they
redo all of the writing for the clones and stuff at the end, rewrite all of that shit.
I think if they just use the Zidane model from that Dissidia game, it's going to be really bad. And I'm pretty sure that's what he's going to look like.
People were worrying about 7 Remake, and it turns out that they ended up creating their own art assets.
Yeah.
But,
So, I don't know.
I don't know.
I would play that game.
Video games, right? Am I right?
They keep making them.
They keep making them. I think I'm looking... I can't believe I'm going to say this. I'm looking forward to Final Fantasy Origins.
Yeah.
Stranger Paradise.
Hell yeah.
The first game I'm looking forward to this year, non-Horizon Forbidden West division.
For me, non-Warhammer 3 game that I'm really looking forward to is Final Fantasy Origin. That game looks like it's Nomura with no filter, and I'm here for it. When
I learned that it's getting an Xbox One and a personal computer version, I got very excited because it's keeping me from rushing out and trying to get into the PlayStation 5 fight once more, which is great. It's great news.
Chaos.
It is chaos. I'm avoiding it.
Remember that part in that trailer where it plays Frank Sinatra?
Sure do.
Yazoo.
It's a great time for new games.
Yeah.
We got the Total Warhammer, we got the Elden Ring, we got the Chaos.
I'm trying to think if there's anything that I'm actually looking forward to this year. Or that Origins game probably at the top of that list. I don't know if there's anything really out for me right now, but that's okay because
are you not a Bethesda guy? Are you not looking forward to Starfield?
I'm looking forward to grumpily playing Starfield when it's on Game Pass.
I'm curious about it. I think,
and then going, these games aren't for me anymore, and that upsets me because they're popular and beloved.
But Braden, you and I are going to be multiplayer masters of Redfall, the arena shooter shoot 'em up set in Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition.
No, that Redfall is not set in Vampire the Masquerade.
Oh fuck, right. That's a different game.
That's a different game.
Supposedly, are you looking forward to Firaxis's attempt to apply the Marvel IP to their XCOM formula?
It's got cards and apparently is not like XCOM.
Okay.
So Gino will love it.
Okay.
What about that cutesy Legend of Zelda clone with the fox tunic?
What about Giant Bomb's Game of the Year, Chicory, which I still have not played?
That game seems charming.
It seems fine. Wait, oh shit. Is the Avatar, James Cameron's Avatar game coming out
James Cameron's Avatar 2 should be coming out this year.
Oh man, that's right. Supposedly Avatar Frontiers of Pandora is going to to tie into, they're going to make the standalone video game.
It's like Enter the Matrix.
That's by Massive Entertainment from Ubisoft, by the way.
Weird. Fucking weird. What a
The
fucking
Far
weird
Cry
industry.
3 people and the Division people.
You know,
They're making an Avatar game.
I would like to
They
see
made an Avatar game in 2009.
I want to see that Fantasian game come out some other places. I would like to have a look at that at some point, I guess. But that's already out. I don't know. New shit. New shit scares
These
me.
games sound like things we shouldn't cover.
Yeah, you know what we should be covering? Shit like East 3. A fine
did
game.
that.
Indeed.
Ooh. Is there a new or upcoming release other than maybe Stranger of Paradise that's actually something we could reasonably cover?
We could play Total War Warhammer.
Callisto Protocol?
We could play what's it called?
What's that? What's the H.R. Geiger movie?
Elden
No, the
Ring?
H.R. Geiger game that's coming out this year. Scorn?
Scorn?
Yeah.
That's not an RPG.
No.
That's an RPG. Because they're
The wall dongle.
Oh, you mean
Dongle.
to tell me, gentlemen, that you don't want to cover Hogwarts Legacy on the Deep Listens network?
The only Harry Potter game I will cover is one of those GB Color
Yep,
RPGs.
the Game Boy Color version
Yeah.
of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. A game
Okay.
I remember playing because my cousin had it.
We should just play Tides of Numenera. That's just all we should play.
I mean, yeah.
We should play Shadowrun, but only the shooter.
Play Shadowrun, but only Shadowrun Returns.
Yeah,
And also we play the SNES one, which is apparently worse than a totally different game from the Genesis one.
yeah.
Wow,
Both of those statements are correct.
Forspoken is supposed to come out. That's a game. Anyways,
It's like meta
so-
conversationally, I think this might be just based on. I don't know if you guys follow the news. There's been a lot of like acquisitions, a lot of like let's say integration
monopolization
going
of
on.
capitalism.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna really try this year to focus more on buying shit off of like itch, because if there's one thing that probably doesn't need to happen, it's me making sure another like blockbuster Sony game sells an extra copy.
Big ass AAA video game gets.
I gotta tell you, I mean,
covered
one of
on
the
a
nice things
podcast.
is like I'm still playing games from that first bundle for racial justice and equality that I
Yep.
spent $5 on. I'm still playing games for that.
I'm right there with you. I have a big old pile.
I got a big old pile from every single itch charity bundle. They give so much. They give you so much.
I've all that humble bundle shit I've bought over the years just staring at me like Hamlet's father.
Yeah. Everybody that I know that does Humble Bundle monthly seems to say that after the first month, it's kind of a bummer. First couple months. Like, I gotta give my games away because I already have this shit. Anyways, so, Goaty.
So,
Go.
We are here to write the history books, but the canonical history books, not like the books of Enoch. These are canonical.
the deuterocanonical chunk of the Deep Listens podcast. The apocryphal books.
We are like Dash Rendar, newly rendered into the canon via some sort of shitty mobile game.
We are like the Book
No,
of
it's
Maccabees.
the trading card game. It was the
the
trading card game and also the solo standalone movie novelization tie-in. That's the actual answer to his question. I know the answer to his question, so I had to say it.
You're sick. You're both sick. I was going to make a Maccabees joke, but instead we're left with Star Wars.
Susanna and the Elder.
Hell yeah! Let's get it. So, we have some categories that we have assembled, and I'm gonna... let's run these down. I will put on my host hat here. I think we should start off, I guess, looking at the sheet, maybe at the farthest right or the farthest left. Which one do you think would be funnier?
Farthest right.
Okay. And work our way.
Yeah.
From
What do you think, Brayden?
From
Do you think we should start with a showstopper and just everything's downhill from there?
from least to most or most to least? Oh, there's one after this one. Okay. Let's start back here. Let's start from the right and go left. That makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. Like unlike every other group that I think uses a Word document, we're using a spreadsheet. So we're not talking top to bottom. We're going like horizontal. Gross thing someone had in high school to me once. This guy was like, man, if I wasn't like more control of myself, me and that gal, horizontal, babe. And I was like, that's the fucking lamest thing I've ever heard a human being say in my entire fucking life, you 15-year-old boy.
I had a roommate who, whenever he said that he needed to use the bathroom, he's like, I got a slash because I'm whipping it out and it's making a splash.
Bodily functions. Okay. Let's kick things off with off the deep ends. Here are the Deep Sea Awards.
This podcast has gone off the deep end, let me just tell you.
Most obtuse level and quest design. Drum roll. The nominees are Xenosaga Episode 1, Der Will Zermacht, Ultima 4, Quest of the Avatar, Dragon Quest 1, which didn't originally have a subtitle, so I'm not going to bother, Draken, and Arabian Nights. So here's a preliminary question. How are we going to do this? We want a winner and like a runner-up, two runners-up?
Yeah, probably same normal podcast GOTY. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I think this is a two-man race between Draken and Ultima 4.
Yes.
One could make an argument with Xenosaga, but we all finished Xenosaga, so I think that's a testament to...
Xenosaga just has bad dungeons. Which
yeah,
is
the dungeons
category.
are bad,
Yeah,
but you're
different
always
problem.
moving forward.
Yeah, you
So
generally
I think
know
it's
where
Draken
to go.
versus Ultima 4.
Yes, and I think Draken takes it. Here's the thing. At least Ultima kind of tells you on the tin what you ought to be doing. Like literally.
I don't know. I watched a famous VTuber streamer play some Draken today, and it didn't seem very hard for her.
Yeah, but even M is being bored to tears with like the leveling mechanics and like
Yeah.
needing to navigate the world. Whereas with Ultima, it's like that game was designed to be the only thing you played for a month, and I feel like after a month, I probably could finish Ultima 4.
Again, it at least gives you like right from the outset. It's like, oh, this is a game about morality. I should be like working on some like soft goals. I should be building my resume, right? Like Draken, dead ass, don't know what I'm doing in that game, right?
Not only that, but it's like actively trying to make the time bad.
Yes. Here's another thing I'd like to say. I think Dragon Quest 1 is a runner-up over Arabian Nights and over Xenosaga. Because I think that is what ultimately, like, damns Dragon Quest 1. Is, like, it's just this, like, hunt and peck exercise at a certain point, and that sounds like bad quest design to me, personally.
I think the only thing that really gave me in trouble with Dragon Quest 1 was finding that gem in the middle of the swamp.
Yep. There's a little, like, you know, again, assuming you're talking to everyone in every town, it is basically spelled out what you need to do in a cosmic sense. But, and also if you're playing this game now, or even as like a child on a playground in like the mid-80s, you probably were working as a group and being like, oh, you need to get this, and you need to get this, and then you need to get this, and then you need to do this, and then you fight the man, right? But if you're just kind of going in raw, it's a little like, I don't know, just wander around. I think, or I don't know. Is there a case for Arabian Nights making it the runner-up?
No.
Is there?
Braden, you've been surprisingly quiet. Where do you stand?
I'm sorry. There's a plane flying overhead. That's why I've been quiet. It appears to be leaving. But I think Ultima 4 and Draken are the obvious ones, and I think they're different.
They're
places
a
we
different
can talk
type of
about Draken.
obtuse, right?
Yes. Yes, they are.
Ultima 4 is obtuse because it is trying to do so much, and Draken is obtuse because it's made by crazy people.
Sycophants, even.
Yeah, it's a weird puzzle box. Ultima 4 is obtuse in the way Ogre Battle is. Spoilers. But it is, right? Like, there's just, like, a lot of sliders you're manipulating at once. Draken doesn't seem like there's as many sliders. It's just also completely opaque. Like, made out of opacity, right? I think Draken. Yeah.
It's a video game.
You're going to vote for Draken.
made of-
What are you going to vote for, Braden?
I
could honestly vote for either.
There's a strong case for Ultima 4. There really is.
I think Ultima 4 its obtuseness is also part of why people love that game, because it was 1986 and you didn't
And I feel
know any
like
better.
at least Ultima 4 is trying to prove something.
Yeah.
Like its structure is trying to prove something, whereas like Draken is just pain. Just pain.
Pain.
Okay, I'm going to go with Draken. I'm going to vote for Draken with Jeff.
Knife's in. Wait.
So Draken wins, and then Ultima 4 is our second place. And if Jeff
Yes.
wants to give third place bronze to Dragon Quest 1, fine.
That's, I think, a good order. Yeah, I feel like Arabian Nights is straightforward enough.
No, you're not going to color this? I'm going to color this. I forget.
fine.
Red is winning, right?
That's whatever.
Ultima is green, and because I want to see the world burn, I'm going to use blue for third place.
Oh my god. Hey, Draken, congratulations. Continuing to get mileage out of you.
Award number 2. Off the Deep End presents Anime Shitboy. The nominees are Junior from Xenosaga Episode 1, Roan from Grandia 2, Pawn from Suikoden 1, Barithor from Lord of the Rings The Third Age, Chaos, all lowercase, from Xenosaga Episode 1, Albedo from Xenosaga Episode 1, and then also Setzer from Final Fantasy VI. I think that Jeff is trying to do a goof.
Yeah.
The wrong podcast.
Look, I don't think Setzer I didn't write that as far as I remember. I might have.
I think that I might have done this when I was intoxicated.
Oh. Setzer's pretty bad. I don't know if he hangs here, but Setzer's pretty bad.
So I think that unfortunately we're in a situation to where we need to decide who's the Xenosaga to reign above all of them. And it's either Junior or Chaos.
I mean, I think Junior's pretty shit boyish.
It's Junior.
He's a child with a harem.
He's a boy man with a boy man brother clone something.
And Junior's the one that has the tattoo on his hand.
Yep.
Yes, he has the mark of the beast on his hand.
Yep.
God, what an amazing game that is.
And he's a pirate king.
Yeah, he's runs
a young
like,
boy, and he's the leader of this crew of pirates that are all older adults.
He runs an Omega/Cloud City environment thing.
Right.
Yeah, Junior is the Xenosaga anime shitboy champion.
So, and then that would pit Junior against Roan from Grandia 2, Pawn from Suikoden 1, and then Barithor. And I think I want to vote for Barithor. Just
I think
because
it's funny if we vote for Barithor because he's such a non-character.
Yeah.
Like every character in
he like reminds me of like the male protag in every like anthology or omnibus romance visual novel or romance anime.
He's very unimpressive, right?
He's unimpressive, but everyone is enamored by him.
Yes, like he's a chud. I don't know if he's a shit boy, but he's 100% a chud. He might be a shit boy. I don't think we take him off. Here's my case for Pawn. Pawn just fucking dips, right? Like, you get 2 hours into that game, and Pawn, who's like, as far as you can tell, like a loyal friend, is just like, I'm out. I'm just gonna betray you. Sorry, bye. And like, yeah, you get him back. Like, spoilers, because he has a portrait and he's in Suikoden, so like, of course. But what a little shit boy move.
It puts you in a bad way real quick.
Yeah, like, I don't care about this dipshit unless I want to get Gremio back. Spoilers for 25-year-old game. So, Pawn kind of sucks. Barithor kind of sucks too, though, man. Like, he's pretty bad.
So basically, this is down to Junior, Pawn, and Barithor. I think we can eliminate Roan.
Roan is fine.
Roan is a fun character,
a
and also he has
kid.
an ultimate that's very good.
Also, he doesn't really do anything.
He bones a robot.
Character.
He bones a robot.
That's right.
That's at the end of the, how to put this?
That's implied.
How to put this?
That's implicit.
It's earned.
Sometimes you want to fuck a robot, and like, I'm not here to judge. Look, this is a no kink shame zone.
There's a lot of stores in my neighborhood that'll gladly sell you a fuckable robot, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
so like Roan wants to, and he puts her in a nurse outfit for a reason, and that's just his little bubble that he lives in. We don't judge him. He has his rights.
I'm really excited for people who have not played Grandia 2 to
See this like
listen to
8-year-old
us
boy.
try to describe these games and be like, what's this weird sex game they're talking about? And it's like,
Rowan's like actually just a child. Like he's
off the deep end, all head canon.
Yeah.
No text.
Yeah, Rowan can go.
Don't you mean like the Vinny Caravella effect? It's like, yeah, no, that's exactly what happened in the game. Yep, no doubt about it.
Oh yeah,
love you,
well
Vin.
yeah,
I love
that's
you, Vin.
well, getting things wrong is that's half the charm of any given Next Lander
Lander thing.
podcast.
So yeah, Junior, Pawn, and Barathor.
That's a pretty good list.
Yeah.
I think I stand by my vote for Barathor just because of the same point I've made. When you kind of like consider the fact that
Okay.
everyone thinks he's amazing and the best and the hottest
Let's
shit.
talk about what are the principles, what are the qualities of an anime shit boy? And I think the quality of an anime shit boy is best emphasized by Emile Castanier from Tales of Symphonia: Dawn of the New World, where it's just like everyone loves this character, but you want to hurt them. You want to punch this anime boy in the face because he is
Oh,
shit.
you mean the Kanemata effect?
Yeah. Yes, Kanemata, a high-quality anime shit boy. I think Shiro Emiya from the Fate series falls into this.
Hope in Final Fantasy
Hope.
13?
Absolutely.
Hope is an anime shit boy. Basically, a youngish anime boy man whom deserves to be hit in the face.
So for you, it's either Pawn or Junior?
I'm saying Barathor is a non-character. He is a shit boy. And you can definitely argue that Lord of the Rings: The Third Age is anime.
100%
And as much
is my
as
argument.
you'll get flagged for copyright infringement if you stream it.
Here's my case for Barathor over Junior as I'm thinking about this. Again, I have to cite other material to make my argument make sense, but here I go. OSW, Old School Wrestling Podcast. They've more or less invented the concept of a boy. So what in wrestling terms, what is a boy? A boy is a loser. A boy is someone who is never going to be like a champion of anything, anyone in their right mind, but you love him anyway, and it's not necessarily because he's a jobber per se. Though people who are just like paid to go lose can definitely be boys. But boys have this sort of like extra pathetic quality where they carry themselves as if they are absolutely not a boy. They're very, very serious about this. Iron Mike Sharp, like archetypal boy, okay? Like Fit Finley. Like, no one's ever going to put the belt on Fit Finley, right? But Fit Finley might actually be too good to be a boy, right? Buff Bagwell is a boy, right? Like, you would never make Buff Bagwell your champion. Like, he's kind of embarrassing, like, walking around as Buff Bagwell. Like, he wakes up every morning and says, I'm Marcus Alexander Bagwell. I'm an embarrassing sex worker in my 60s. But, by God, I'd put the gimmick on. Barathor wakes up every morning, probably looks in the mirror, and he's just like, God, me again? Is this really what I'm gonna do? And then he just puts on his, like, fucking armor and goes. And just kind of, like, tries to keep his skeleton from jumping out of his mouth every day at embarrassment.
I think that, and for those that watch the other wrestling podcast with Brian Alvarez, they use the term geek.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways.
I think I understand what you're saying in regards to boys to men, but yeah, I could be persuaded that Barathor, just because he is just
I'll let
an
Braden
imminently
pick our second
dunkable
place, though.
like
so you want Junior as second. I think that's the
I think that's fair. I think Junior is second.
Here's my other case for Barathor, by the way. Lord of the Rings: The Third Age ain't winning anything else, right?
He might win worst story.
You got a good point. Ooh, you got a good point.
Wait, do you want Junior or Pawn as second?
I think Junior is second.
Yeah.
I think Junior, it fits
Pawn
all of
third.
the anime shit boy.
I have to pick a different blue. This blue is unreadable.
Yeah. In another year, this is Junior's category. And I feel kind of bad not giving it to him, but at the same time, Barathor sucks so bad. Like
maybe we'll find out Junior's great in Xenosaga episode 2.
That's just it. There's hope for Junior. There's no hope for Barathor.
There's no hope for Barathor because he's in a cutscene that lasts for 30 seconds and he says 2 things.
Yeah. Congratulations
okay,
to one of the extra models from Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, that got graduated into a JRPG. You're our anime shitboy of the year. But we'll send the award to EA.
Okay, Braden, why don't you introduce the next category?
Okay,
Jeff did the first, I did the second.
Okay, this is moment with the most, which is, I think we have defined as being the most.
Right?
Most moment or sequence.
Yes.
Not best, most. So, Xenosaga, Cherinkov's backstory, where, he was a degenerate mutant person and got...
Yep.
His wife says she'd rather have
his
VR
wife
sex than
married
look at him
just so she could clone herself. He somehow joined the evil secret organization cult.
Let's go through the categories and then.
Okay. Yeah. No, you're right. Trying to describe the plot of Xenosaga there'll be another 2 hours. Draken. Anytime ZP gets eaten by that fucking shark in the moat. East 3. When any song starts in the versions that have the good soundtrack. Grandia 2, when the bad guys reveal themselves to be the bad guys, basically. So when the Church of Granis is like, hey, guess what? This JRPG, organized religion, it's evil.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit. And then following that, Grandia 2, any part of Grandia 2 where there's some gross flesh stuff. I think, as we discussed, top-tier flesh dungeons... Revengers of Vengeance, finding the top-down shooter part. Lord of the Rings: The Third Age, when the skeleton falls down from Lord of the Rings the movie, and you're like, that's from the movie, Lord of the Rings.
I'm in the movie.
It's like I'm in the movie. Grandia 2, the part where it cuts away to the final boss, and it's just this shitty low-res JPEG
of fucking
King Ghidorah.
Oh my god.
Xenosaga.
We played some good shit.
We did.
The part where Cosmos shoots a fucking laser out of her belly button.
Hell yeah!
And then Xenosaga, the part where Albedo rips off his own head while torturing Momo.
So which Xenosaga scene do we think wins this category?
I think it's the naval laser or it's Albedo.
It's Chernikov or Albedo?
I think it's the naval laser or it's Albedo.
I don't know, man. Remember when Chernikov's end story ends with fucking Shion in a fucking field and it's raining and she feels emotional about a character who literally just tried to murder her?
They straight up put him on trial and tell him he's not a person, and then they put him on trial again and they tell him he's even less of a not person in the course of 10 minutes. It's insane. What the fuck? God damn it.
And then he just turns into a boss and you kill...
He turned into a golem.
I think that might have been the point where I permanently turned a corner on that game. Where I was like, whatever other bullshit I have to slog through, this is so unlike anything else in terms of the scale of bullshit you're saying. That said, Cosmos Naval Laser scene, maybe number 2 on that list, because... that was a point where I literally pulled up the cutscene again to show it to my spouse, and I was like, you have to look at this. What the fuck? Because it's not just that, she pops out and does it. There's a bunch of preamble. That's also nuts.
It's all...
Braden, are you forgetting about the Beach of Nothingness, where the beach is literally called the Beach of Nothingness?
Oh my god. It's just that there's so much. It's so dense. There's so much going on in every shot.
This should have just been a separate best moment in Xenosaga category.
Yeah, is this just the time
I feel like there's
Giant Bomb did best moment or sequence in Wolfenstein 2?
Yeah, maybe we should have done that.
Maybe we should.
It's too late now. We got to live with the consequences of our decision. No. I feel bad about Grandia. I feel bad for Ys. I feel bad for Draken.
Okay. You say that, but here, I'm willing to part with the East 3 one, even though it probably should win. It's kind of I really like the music in East. It's a funny bit now. That JPEG in Grandia 2, though, is fucking hysterical. Like, for real, they just... they do the thing that, like, they do on Saturday Night Live or whatever, where they're like, wow, we sure did get into a big fight there. Yeah, it was a huge fight. I can't believe we won. It's like they can't show you the thing. They can't animate a Ghidorah, like, destroying the world.
They don't have the money.
But their solution is just screen print a picture of Ghidorah and then scan it at 640 by 480 and then just, oh my god, it's so fucking funny. It's so funny. Like, I might take that over the Granus heel turn, which is also very good.
I would take the JPEG over the church heel turn.
Yeah, like, that one was telegraphed. Like, obviously this is going to happen. But if you had told me that game, like, basically the penultimate thing you do is look at a JPEG. Oh, Jesus. I don't know. How we feeling?
So
I'm going to put a line.
Braden has officially spread out or cut out. We now off the deep end, the Cosmos. So I think let's go ahead and pick the best non-Xenosaga moment.
That's fine. Okay.
Which I think it is totally Grandia 2's JPEG cutaway.
Yes. It's incredible.
It exemplifies the scrappy nature of that game, and like it is trying to do stuff even though it doesn't quite have. It's not a Eurojank thing where it's reaching for the stars and just falling flat on its ass. It is the economical JRPG where it's like, listen,
they probably used too much of they got too close to the end of the GD-ROM.
Yeah,
they had to pay
Final Fantasy
Jasmine.
You know,
Final
Fantasy X or Final Fantasy 9 came out the same year, right?
Basically,
yeah.
So it's like one fucking area background in Final Fantasy 9 probably cost as much as almost all of Grandia 2.
They really stretched $1.
By gee golly, the part where and don't forget that the JPEG cutaway is also happening while they basically make the spirit bomb. Everyone starts singing and coming together to fight King Pope Ghidorah.
It's a champion.
Remember that part? They start singing.
Yep.
And the JPEG is like, oh, my power. And then you fly the sword into the boss.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, this is, you're right. This wins.
Yeah.
All right, so what's second? I think it's either the Lord of the Rings Skeleton Fall, or maybe I don't want to vote for myself. I feel bad for it.
I'll vote for you. I think we've gotten a lot of mileage based on just you and that shark.
Like
okay,
charity.
So I'm second. And let's say skeleton.
Yeah,
third.
because the skeleton falling down is like so emblematic of
it's
what
so
that game
dumb.
is.
Yeah.
It's so good, dumb, and they really tried to make you feel connected, and they fucked it all up so royally.
Just like can't even afford to put you near any of the actual set pieces that those films have. And instead it's just like, oh, hey, remember when Pippin knocked down that skeleton down a well?
I sure do.
I sure do.
Where do you think that skeleton fell to? Right in front of Barithor and friends, of course.
Yeah, Barithor.
Fool of a took.
And, Hadhod?
Yes. Hadhod.
I'm not lying. I'm looking at an image of Lord of the Rings The Third Age right now because I was trying to remember every character names. That's the only reason I remembered Hadhod. I'm the first person who has remembered Hadhod.
Fo-Ragorn.
Congratulations, Grandia 2. That's a hell of a JPEG.
Here comes a new challenger.
Now we got the hard part.
Introducing...
Now we have
Most. So, surprising names that no one's ever heard before. We have a couple new ones here. So, we have the Naval Laser Sequence, which is a whole sequence. We have Albedo takes off his head after cutting off his hand while torturing Momo. It's a little kind of greasy.
He calls her Mine Pet. Mine Pesh or something. Monpesh.
The entire Cherenkov's backstory sequence.
Yeah.
The obvious anime beach sequence with superfluous camel toe just out of nowhere, just right up in her hole. The ending where Cosmos is Jesus, and the introduction of Junior with guns blasting. You know what? I'm gonna pencil in a candidate. I want Albedo talking about eating robots.
Oh, right.
Like,
right.
just
Where he basically admits to being a cannibal, and he's like eating robot umbilical cords.
Yeah.
And like, I think it's some sort of anti-abortion thing because Christianity. Let's represent that part of Christianity.
I don't know.
But it also happens within like the first 2 hours of this game.
Oh, Virgil.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Oh, Virgil. Sorry.
I just thought of something that I want to put on here. Okay. Is it Junior who's like, I want to show you my ship. Oh, by the way, I have a bunch of weird abominations that are in stasis in my ship.
Right. I have a bunch of horrible Gnosis monsters.
And he like gave all of his Gnosis monsters names.
All of these giant golden monoliths with Hebrew symbols on them.
You know, this did remind me there's something I'm going to add to the category next to this, really. But yeah, I've got nothing else to add to Xenosaga moments.
Remember when there's just there's 13 monoliths, the 13 Zohar,
look, I think
they're all named after the 12 apostles of Jesus.
I see what you did, Jeff. So we're just filling in this category. I think we've already made a case as to why Chernikov's backstory wins or Cosmos's laser beam wins.
Yes.
And I still stand by Chernikov just because there's so much.
It is the most.
It's the most.
Right.
It is the most. So I think
it is
Chernikov,
this character who is like he's not even a villain. He's like a sad,
like an anti-hero that's like been corrupted.
A sad, pathetic side character.
He might be a boy, but anyway, like, he's not even that important. And they spend
and then like
just an agonizing amount of time on him in this cutscene. And it's like, wow. And it's like preview of coming attractions. Jesus Christ. Yeah. I think it's a strong candidate.
I think anime beach scenes are passe.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna give Chernikov the first then.
That's fine.
And then Cosmos laser beam
second.
Yeah.
Has to be second.
And
then Red is first. Sorry.
Oh, right. There's also the part where Greensleeve starts playing while characters are saying nonsense to you. Just like it's inside the brain matrix.
Yes.
It's inside the
I forgot about the brain matrix stuff. The fake VR.
Yeah. Because it's all in Cosmos' brain, but it's also everyone else's brain.
And then remember, if you use it, you can find like pictures of Shion naked.
Oh, that's right.
I don't know what I want to. I was thinking of originally voting for Virgil eating babies.
I fucking forgot.
I think
the
that's
green
implied.
Sleeves.
That's not said out loud. It's more that
then I would vote for green sleeves then.
Yeah. Green sleeves.
I'm gonna this empty box right here is now blue. Fill it in.
Yep.
You know what? Maybe you guys are right. Maybe Xenosaga was okay.
It is okay.
It is there's a reason why I
like the game parts of it are serviceable to
the JRPG part of it is middling at best.
But everything that is larded in between the game of that game is top-notch anime bullocks.
The 7 hours of cutscene in that game are just someone who had no one to tell them no.
Just
basically taking what was it? The Xenogears Perfect Works. So like, they've had these ideas in their head for years and they just vomited them all out at once, which I believe continues even into Xenoblade.
I don't know what to tell you other than, you know what? Xenosaga 2 might be a time that we want to have. I'm sorry, I almost threw up in my mouth.
Yeah. Hey, congratulations to Andrew Tarankov. Your wife may not care for you that much, but we sure do.
All right. So, Jeff, introduce the next category.
Okay. It's a special self-effacing activity for several orgs. Worst idea. So, we've got Lord of the Rings The Third Age console version, Sir Ian McKellen's story time, where the game just tells you about other more interesting things. Suikoden, major mechanics missable. So, just big chunks that you can walk past. Revengers of Vengeance, a fighting game you have to grind in to make it good. Revengers of Vengeance, 2 nominations there. The final boss fight is just hidden. Grandia 2, burn flame your way to victory. Just, you can ride one spell for most of that game. Tecmo Secret of the Stars, aka Octalion, 2 parties, 0 synergy. It's a joke there. Fire Emblem 1, Shadow Dragon, etc. Artificial digital scarcity. Talk about that. Off the Deep End, the Off the Deep End lecture series. And we'll talk about that too. Lord of the Rings Third Age, GBA edition, 3-lane strategy. And a late-breaking edition, Xenosaga Episode 1, Derville Zermacht. Cards?
I fucking forgot that had a card game.
It has a card game. It's bad. It's very bad.
I thought the mech stuff was worse than the card stuff, just because the egg stuff is just way more confusing. But whatever. I think that this is a top-heavy category. There's no doubt in my mind this goes to Secret of the Stars, a mechanic that's so bad and so ill-conceived that it makes the game almost nigh unplayable.
It does break it right down the middle, for sure. I'm looking, I'm trying to find, like, if I can make an honest
Listen,
case.
people love grinding in JRPGs, so what if you had to grind twice because you need the second party to do certain things to make the game easier?
Okay, so I've got...
You don't have to use the second party.
So I've got cases for 2 other things on here. I think just as profoundly as the 2-party thing breaks Secret of the Stars, which it absolutely does, Sir Ian's story time is what actually breaks the Third Age in some sense. Because if it was just, I don't know, it kind of would kill itself, I think. But Sir Ian literally interrupting you every 5 minutes to be like, something more interesting is happening somewhere else. You're not there, but you have a part to play. It's just such a poorly conceived idea. It just
the part where he is telling you about characters' personality traits that are not displayed by the characters themselves.
Yeah, it's like perfect bad storytelling. The other one I'd like to highlight here, besides, hey, maybe when we were like, and I'll take ownership of this mostly, how about when I gave like a half-hour talk about a thing that no one cared about?
Or me. I also did the same.
Yeah.
And remember when we were trying to peer pressure Braden into doing one as well?
Yeah.
And I couldn't think of
so
a topic.
tired when we record these, and it's like, yeah,
So
you're right. Let's just get rid of this.
Instead, I just talked about used game shops and how I miss them.
And then we find out that the Off the Deep End podcast, it's really just better if we spend the first 15 minutes shooting the shit.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So that one's funny. Here's one that I think is actually bad. And Nintendo did it like a couple times last year, is the notion of artificial digital scarcity. So I think this concept which is what they did with Fire Emblem, was they made it available for like, you know, a month or so, to like some
not long like a handful of months.
And remember, it was also the Mario Switch anniversary thing, which was a bad compilation pack. It was like all of those games are bad and those games deserve better, but also it's
now you can't
you can't play Mario 64 at all on the current Nintendo console.
In concept, this is not very far removed from non-fungible token shit. Now, it really is not. The entire idea, like, these are digital goods, right? Like, there's no reason to limit this. All you're doing is basically taking money out of your own pocket by not selling this on your storefront, like, in perpetuum, right? Because now if someone wants to be like, oh, the original Fire Emblem's for sale, and they did, you know, a reasonably good new translation of this game, oh, that's interesting, I'd like to go try that. Like, too bad. You can't now. Because they decided you can't. That's just, it's dumb. It's bad for preservation. It's bad from a trying to make money perspective. It sets a shitty precedent because, God help us, I bought that damn thing, and now they're probably like, oh, look, we can bilk rubes. I think it just absolutely sucks. The game's like, whatever. But the game's not the issue. The issue is like how they sold it. So I think that's I think that's one of the worst ideas last year, but it's not a game, right? So, I don't know. That's my case for Fire Emblem. I'm open. All these are bad, right? So, I think Suikoden is kind of a minor sin, so I'm just going to put a line through that, unless anyone really wants to go to bat for it.
So, like I said, I think that
every
the way
JRPG.
Right.
from
I think the way that
90s
I approached
especially.
it, I was looking at the mechanics that I thought were just downright unplayable, and that's why Secret of the Stars was my number one. The 3-lane strategy in Lord of the Rings Third Age, GBA, was maybe my number 2, and you could really swap those. And then, like, Revengers of Vengeance being actually unplayable.
Yeah.
Revengers of Vengeance saying, what if you had to play our bad fighting game worse a bunch of times before you could play our bad fighting game well
And
enough?
not only that, but if you aren't on your shit 100% of the time, gaining gobs and gobs of experience points, you just end up in a death spiral where you are not able to actually beat the final boss, which is completely hidden and not, surfaced to the player in any way, shape, or form. I don't know. It's
I'd be comfortable with Secret of the Stars winning this, because it really is pretty fucking abominable what it does.
What do you think, Braden?
I think as far as like the worst idea for gameplay, it's probably Revengers of Vengeance. Just because I think the fighting game RPG is one of those concepts that has not really taken off. It's been tried quite a few times.
Gino's trying to convince us about one that maybe worked.
Yeah. Well, whatever. Legend of Legaia is not a fighting game. It is a JRPG that has the aesthetic of a PS1 fighting game, which I'm into.
Why doesn't he just play Tobal? Quest mode.
But and as far as like storytelling, I think Sir Ian McKellen it was easier to afford Sir Ian McKellen. Throw him in a voice booth for a couple days because he was already, I think he was still under contract or something, and then actually do storytelling in the video game.
Yeah, these are all compelling arguments.
And then having us try to do educational lectures, just a mistake.
Yeah, it was just an honest mistake, but we weren't actively...
Yeah.
We weren't professionals. We weren't professionals. No, don't you highlight that one. We are not
We were
professionals.
children.
We solved the problem also before the middle of the game.
Yeah.
Give us that.
Yeah, I would see
I'm-
Fire Emblem on there before our lecture series, I guess. So.
I'm starting to solidify my position
Yeah.
of Secret of the Stars, and I think. So, which mechanic were you saying? So it's playing the shitty Street Fighter
I think
2.
Revengers
So Jeff,
of Vengeance.
you're
is
the kingmaker. Basically, you decide what's first and second at this point.
Okay, I think Revengers of Vengeance is first.
Okay, and I'm voting for Secret of the Stars.
I think the thing about Secret of Stars is just like you don't have to use the second party unless you want to beat the final boss easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, I mean, you're dragging their asses all around, and there are parts of the world that are easier if you even bring them along. And then you can just like accidentally park them to where you're blocking a path.
I mean,
It's just muling everybody more than once.
I'm just going to go with, I put it on my own GOTY list. I put Revengers worst, then Secret of the Stars. So, congratulations, Revengers of Vengeance.
All right, so we're gonna give Revengers of Vengeance first. Go fuck yourself. And then we're gonna have Secret of the Stars second. We did not decide on a third, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Let's do Sir Ian McKellen's Sir Ian's
Sir
story
Ian
time.
McKellen explains the plot of a much more interesting series of movies than the game
Probably
you're
one of the
playing.
greatest movie trilogies ever made. One might argue.
One might argue.
All right, everybody, we're moving on to our next category, which is biggest disappointment. These were the games that we were looking forward to, but just didn't live up to the expectations that either we had developed or the cult surrounding these games had developed. So first thing on the list is Lord of the Rings: The Third Age, the console edition. Second on the list, we have Lord of the Rings: The Third Age, the GBA version. We then have Bahamut Lagoon, Ys 3, unlike Jeff, I will not say the full title. Tecmo, Secret of the Stars is next, and then finally, Soma Bringer. I hate to say this, but when I think about the game that bummed me out the most, it's either Third Age or Bahamut Lagoon, not Dragoon. Why did I spell Dragoon? Lagoon.
I think Bahamut Lagoon. I have watched someone play through most of Bahamut Lagoon. I think we probably are fine not playing it. It's an interesting thing. It seems
I have the
seems
same
cool.
reaction to this game as I'm having with Ogre Battle, which is like, who are these weird anime pervert weebs that think that this is the greatest
I
game
like
to never
Ogre
come to the
Battle.
West?
Well,
Who are
we
these
will
people?
litigate this later, sir.
Who are these people for Bahamut Lagoon then? Who are these people that look forward to like feeding your dragons to have like incredibly overpowered units? Then there's no sense of battle or balance in the game.
That's just a strategy RPG, my dude.
It's just building tall.
That's just
You build. Yeah,
that's just every strategy RPG that isn't like
Then it's very clearly look. It's Third Age.
it's Lord of the Rings
Yeah,
Third
console.
Age because we were
Super
all
excited.
jazzed about
It
that.
was supposed to be a game that we were going to play to the end.
Yep.
Like we all heard people tell us about, oh, it's a really interesting game where it's cut some corners.
I remember playing it in 2004.
How many of us heard people tell us that this was going to be a game that we would like fondly look back on, and that it was crazy fan fiction-y stuff, and then it just is like the slowest playing rendition of Final Fantasy X ever, and we just couldn't do it.
Crushing, absolutely crushing disappointment of a game.
We felt so bad we gave Braden a second chance to pick a game.
Yeah.
And I picked Suikoden, which is a good game.
So yeah, it's 100% the Third Age, the console edition.
Sure.
What is second and third?
I think there's a chance the GBA version gets a medal here too.
I might argue that like a portable spin-off game, like those are not expected to be good.
Yeah.
They're like that game was clearly made in like 6 months.
Yeah, I think this is where I start to say Bahamut Lagoon, just because
I would
weeb
say
culture.
Yeah.
Its
Weeb
reputation
culture
kind of precedes it.
Bahamut Lagoon is definitely like the fan translation
How
culture.
many lists had Bahamut Lagoon on the top or near the
It's a
top of
neat
greatest non-translated games to never come to the West?
But also, I feel like that inflated its reputation. I feel like if this had come out in the United States in,
if
96
this
or
game had
whatever,
come out in the United States, the way that we look at Arabian Nights is how we would look at Bahamut Lagoon.
I feel like Bahamut Lagoon is like the game that if it had been released in the United States, it would have been forgotten. Like people would have passed on it.
Yeah. Bahamut Lagoon can be second. I think that's fine.
Sure. And then
I think there's a case for... Here's the thing about East 3. I think you know what it's going to be, right? Like, I don't know how disappointing it is.
No. Okay, here's what I would argue complete the opposite. This is the game that is not the Yeast game that every prior Yeast game was.
You're not wrong.
But I think the thing about East 3 is that
Zelda
like we
2
came
clone.
in knowing it's the black sheep of the series.
Yeah, I mean, if you're playing this in 1990 or whenever it came out, somewhere around there, yeah, it was probably like, what the fuck did they do to East? They broke it! Like, problem game. But at this point, its reputation is, like, so out there. And, we're already factoring in, like, post-hoc reputation stuff if we're going to talk about Bahamut Lagoon. So, like, in that spirit, I'm like, I don't know if East 3 makes it because it's kind of a known quantity as, like, it's the bad one, or whatever. Soma Bringer, I think, gets on here for similar reasons to Bahamut Lagoon. It's one of those, like, I can't believe they didn't localize this games just from a different time. And, it's got the Monolith Soft DNA. It's got the same genes as Xenosaga.
That is another game where it's like, this is neat. I don't know if anyone would be talking about this game.
Yeah, they would have put in, hours and hours and hours of, like, paid contract labor to translate this thing. And then people would have been like, huh, all right.
If I was 12 and had Soma Bringer on my Nintendo DS, I could see that being appealing.
But yeah, I was mildly disappointed by it. Like, I will say, very impressive translation job on it. There's a lot of tooltips, and they basically got them all. But, like, I think on that podcast, I was like, I think I might play this a little more. I haven't touched it since.
I'm totally down to go with Soma Bringers as third. Okay.
All right.
Oh, wait, no, I missed my shot. Oh, I got this blue all over the place. Oh no.
Barathor, congrats. You got another one. Just raking them in.
What's the next category, Braden?
All right. This is our Ultimate Kusoge, or Best Worst Game. This is, of course, the celebration of the best of our favorite piece of garbage we played this year. Revengers of Vengeance, Arabian Nights, Draken, Lord of the Rings Third Age GBA, Tecmo Secret of the Stars, and Lord of the Rings Third Age console.
I think we fucked up that. I think we realized that we fucked up our Kusoge episode and picked non-Kusoge games. Oddly enough, I'm either going to vote for Draken or Tecmo Secret of the Stars.
I think as far as the best worst game, it's Draken.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or
No-
maybe
no
Revengers
game
of
has
Vengeance
inspired.
is the most. Revengers of Vengeance is the most authentically Kusoge, though.
Yes.
Revenge of Vengeance
It is
is
authentically.
Kusoge. Yes.
It's like the most. If you wanted a game that perfectly exemplifies what is a Kusoge game, I mean, it's like Takeshi's Castle, but like Revengers of Vengeance is a perfect exemplification of what this whole thing is, like this term and why it continues to be used. Like, it's a shit game, plays like shit, got no story. It has really weird Sega CD audio. It's got production values for a thing that are shockingly coherent and good. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Part of me wants to vote for Revengers of Vengeance just because I think it's the ultimate Kusoge.
It is a
right?
very
Like, it's
like
not
iconoclast sort of feel to it, you know? Like it feels like avant-garde in its badness as opposed to
Yes.
like Draken. I think Revengers of Vengeance was a thing that was deliberately made to be the way it was, right? It's just all the like, you know, as we've discovered, basically, it was pretty much a one-man job. He was probably not given a lot of time. All the ideas were terrible, right? Draken, different spirit entirely. It's just the work of masochists. It's just the work of a bunch of weird French Atari ST loving freaks who got Gary Gygax in to write goddamn story treatment for it. Like, the spirit is very different, right? The end result, bad games. Like, to be 100% clear. But, you know, like, I look something like Secret of the Stars or like Revengers of Vengeance, and like Draken doesn't feel like it really fits in there, right? Like it's just a nightmare machine.
Mm-hmm.
Like Secret of the Stars is just like there's
Secret of the Stars is rampantly incompetent
bad
in a way that
dog.
I feel like
kill,
Secret of the Stars is
cat bad
in terms of like. So for me, Revengers of the Vengeance is the most authentically Kusoge, but Tecmo Secret of the Stars is the best bad game, if that makes sense. It's like Tecmo Secret of the Stars is at least Tommy Wiseau. Revengers of Vengeance is like
Revengers of Vengeance
Michael Bay's Transformers.
has like heavy metal music, like Bob Dylan's self-portrait energy, you know, like fucking Lulu, the album energy, you know, like a deliberately made bad piece of media. And like when they localized it, the box art more or less indicates as much. Like if you look at the North American box art, it's like written in a very Mystery Science Theater tone, which is strange. So it's like deliberately marketing a bad thing, right?
90s marketing is we could go on for a while. There's someone in the Giant Bomb Discord who has been looking through scans of old gaming magazines and posting like maybe the most deranged advertisements.
You're not wrong.
or you know, articles, and that entire endeavor has just reminded me, no, the 90s were a cultural wasteland, just a dark hole we can never recover from, and also just the way people promoted video games in the 90s is just very funny and bad.
I'll say this. I think Lord of the Rings Third Age isn't it, dog. Like, its problem is it's just fucking dull.
It's mediocre.
Yeah.
Like,
But
I could see someone who didn't know any better having an okay time with Lord of the Rings: The Third Age.
yes. As like a baby's first one of these, maybe.
I think Draken, I will still go to bat for Draken as just like the pinnacle of this is impossible to grasp, but yet we have gotten so much out of it.
Okay, so I'm gonna put a line through Arabian Nights as well. I think this is a 3.
Arabian Nights is just boring.
We're in a unless we really want to talk about Lord of the Rings GBA, we're in a 3-dog race here.
So Tecmo, Draken, Revengers of Vengeance. This is actually the hardest category we've had so far.
There's a
because, like I
fine
said,
argument for all these.
Draken is the best No, I think. Okay,
It is the best.
Yeah, it's the best. Draken is the best game. Tecmo Secret of the Stars is the best worst game, and Revengers of Vengeance is the ultimate kusoge.
Is this category trying to do too much? Or are you trying to make it do too much?
No. I think it's
If I was going to hand someone one of these and say, check this out, I'm going to teach you about kusoge, like just sight unseen.
I would give them Revengers.
I would hand them Revengers.
I would give them Revengers.
Because you can.
If I need to teach someone what kusoge is, I would give them Revengers.
Because you can appreciate the things that are wrong with it very quickly, right?
Yes.
And it's entertaining in the ways that it is bad, right? I think that's the hallmark of like an actual kusoge, as opposed to, like I said, the problem with Lord of the Rings Third Age is it's just dull. And I feel like Secret of the Stars, it's certainly kusoge, it's certainly bad, but it's also like just falls into a dull category, I think, a little too much.
Yeah.
And Draken, again, may actually be ultimately too good to be here at all, but I feel like embodies more kusoge spirit at the same time, because like you hand that to someone and it's going to be like immediate bad response pretty much for like 9 and 10 people. Like Secret of the Stars, at least you can dupe them into being like, yeah, it's like Final Fantasy 1 or whatever. Like, oh, okay. Wow, this is slow. It's like, nah, keep going. Like Draken, it's like 5 minutes in. You're like, well, something's fucking wrong here. Like, and yeah, Revengers of Vengeance, it's like instantaneous. Just like, what the fuck? And then you're like, oh, there's a shooter. They're like, what?
There's also a top-down shooter.
And the boss is hidden in a fortune teller that you just have to keep going to, right? Like, also you can win most of these fights by just throwing a fireball. Like, it's also just a bad fight.
Because the enemy AI isn't programmed to understand how to deal with projectiles.
Yeah, I think we have to give this to Revengers of Vengeance.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
So
will accept
Revengers
this
of
argument.
Vengeance wins. So what would our second place and third place be? I think that second place is Tecmo and third is
Yeah.
Draken.
Yeah. Draken's just too good.
I can't believe you said that. All right, is it my turn to introduce a category? I forget.
I'll do it just for old time's sake.
Let's see. I didn't.
No. Actually, no. You should do
I
the one
did worst
after.
idea.
Oh, okay. Yeah, lean in.
Do I do
Okay.
worst dungeon?
No, I think you did Kusoge.
Did I?
Did you? No, I did worst disappointment.
No, I did-
You did Kusoge.
I did
so
worst
it's my
idea.
turn again. Why are we doing this? The next category is worst dungeon. God damn it. So, oh wait, that means Braden gets to do the ultimate, the last
okay.
one. Okay,
Someone's
cool.
gotta-
This is okay. We figured it out, gentlemen.
Okay.
So, worst dungeon or worst individual level, we have from Xenosaga Episode 1, the Utic Battleship. Xenosaga Episode 1, the Cathedral Ship. Draken, the First Castle. Tecmo Secret of the Stars, the Cave and Mountain to Bad. We have Tecmo Secret of the Stars, the Ringo Brothers House. We have Ultima 4, everything, no really, the entire game.
Yeah.
We have Bahamut Lagoon, the Green Continent on Campbell, aka the level with the big cannons and the walls that heal the enemies. Oh, so bad. And then finally, we have Lord of the Rings, the Third Age, Moria. So Moria is probably the most boring of these.
I mean, it's where the game dies.
But I was able to finish Moria.
Same. I mean, I finished pretty much I didn't finish everything at Ultima 4, to be clear, but I finished all of these dungeons on this list. That's why I can tell you they're bad, right? Like,
I think it's maybe...
I'm
I'm trying to remember which one from Secret of the Stars is which. Oh, right. The cave is the one that has all of those weird serpentine paths and you have to go through. It ends with you in the cabin, but it's like 8 or 7 screens and you have to use the primary team. You leave the... What's the second party called? It starts with a K.
the Quitsats Hatterack.
Yeah, that party gets
Krystalton.
left behind on the first floor and you just got a truck with like one party, and it's like that Final Fantasy 1, Final Fantasy 2 circa, oh god, I gotta pull out, I gotta punch out, my party's gonna die feeling. But yo, dog, the first real dungeon of Xenosaga Episode 1 comes out of nowhere, And it's like, shit, I actually have to play a video game. And there's one save crystal at the very entrance of the dungeon. And I forget, is that the UTIC battleship or the cathedral ship? No, yeah, you're right. I guess you're right. It's the same format. There's one save crystal at the front of the dungeon and one crystal right before the boss.
Absolutely brutal.
I think I had a harder time with the cathedral ship, if I'm remembering these
I'm trying.
correctly.
The cathedral ship is the big whale.
Yes. With the sign with the fish that says something.
Okay. I think the winner of this is fucking Moria.
I was actually going to vote for Ultima 4.
I mean, technically the dungeons in Ultima 4 you don't even have to go into until the end.
Yeah, when you really break it down.
Yeah, but remember all that invisible wall shit? Remember like the famous, like, you get cursed and the person who lifts curse is hidden?
That's just vegetables. That's just good old fashioned.
That's mid '80s PC RPG design.
That's mid '80s CRPG design.
I'm just saying, man. You're asking me for what I think is the worst dungeon. It's just like getting the legendary weapons, recruiting other characters.
I mean, moving around in Ultima 4 is painful, but it's painful.
No. Stop talking. You said the sentence that's correct. It's painful. That's it. That's all
you guys
say.
should have played the Master System version. It's a lot better.
Jeff, you've been quiet for this category.
I like the cathedral ship and I like Moria for this. And if you want to throw in the cave and mountain to bad on there, I could see that too. But what Moria or the cathedral ship? And I say this as a Xenosaga fan, but I think one of those probably takes it for me.
I mean, I think that, it's like that. The cathedral ship represents the point in which you actually need to start doing the mechanics of Xenosaga, and it's like 15 hours into the game.
The lengthy slog of that dungeon makes the game seem harder than it is, just because of how long it is between resources getting replenished.
And if we've talked about the idea of JRPGs are secretly combat puzzles where every single time you fight a trash mob, the game has maybe one or two permutations of how to beat them without dying. And in Xenosaga Episode 1, it feels especially heinous because of the format in which the dungeon is designed and also how far away and separated you are to being able to save your progress. And the combat is so sluggish.
It's fine, but
it's slow.
It's rote.
Unless you want to start popping off those mech suit things and those
and it's just kind of a pain in the... I think Xenosaga captures a lot of the critiques that you have expressed over the last year with that game. And I think it is it's the flaw, right? Like, we sat there, not an hour ago, we were talking about how good Xenosaga might actually be. And then we look at this list and it's like, God, you had a...
The part where you play maybe next year we do like a celebration of good dungeon design.
Yeah, that might be. I
want.
It would prove Gino wrong.
We know what bad looks like, but what does good look like? It's
probably one of those dungeons in Grandia where you just pop off the burn spell.
Yeah. No, I think of when I think of intentional deliberate design, I think of
Suikoden had
Tower.
Some decent dungeons. Suikoden had good dungeons. If we were to play a future Fire Emblem game, we would have some cool set pieces and sequences.
The case for Moria is simply that you go into that dungeon and it is 3 or 4 hours of the same hand. This is every dungeon, right? I'm not saying anything unique, but there's when you couple that, sort of broad critique of JRPG dungeons, and you also set it to the very, very downbeat score of the Lord of the Rings films, where it's just completely fucking bloodless, walking around in brown and gray, and then random fights with shit-looking orcs every minute or so. It dies a death, and there's nothing narrative to really keep you going. The actual design of it is more or less a straight line with a couple spurs off of it, with chests that give you a second age hubcap of Ventusler that you have to put on that gives you a +2 in one stat to one character. And it's like, wow, I'm sure glad I went on that version and fought 3 random mobs to get this hubcap. It's very bad. It's where the game dies. After finishing that, there was literally no way in hell, unless I was getting paid a lot more money, that I will go back and finish that game.
It's also like a third of the game.
Yes!
Because
it's way too long.
The third age is not a very long game, which is one of the reasons why we picked it initially. But we couldn't even get through that because so much of it is just that. It is just, hey, Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, the video game, already had these Moria environments. So let's make that.
And then you get to the end, and they just stick Sauron in your party because, not Sauron. God damn it. I just lost all of my nerd credit. Gandalf, to fight that Balrog, because why would we let your party be cool for even 1 second? And that fight still takes, way too long, despite the fact that you have the most powerful wizard in the fucking world with you. It's bad. I don't know. That's...
I don't know what to tell you either. I just...
Tell me about the first castle for Draken. Why is this here?
It's not really that hard. It's kind of like, it kind of reminded me a little bit of Myst. It just turns out that everything that's in the castle, other than meeting with a guy and saying the correct thing and then leaving the room that he's in, there's the door that'll eat you. There's the forest field that blocks the door, the first door upstairs. People randomly spawn. There's the shark in the moat, which apparently the SNES version of that game doesn't have a shark in the moat.
The shark doesn't appear until after you finish the dungeon.
Is it one of the worst dungeons, or is it just more Draken? That's my question.
Also, it's more Draken. The dungeons in Draken seem weird.
Yeah, apparently, the second... I actually even ended up completing the second dungeon, where it's, covered in trees and vines and stuff, to get, the dragon guy's daughter back, or his sister. That actually seemed like it was a worse time. I think I am still going to vote for the cathedral ship in Xenosaga. Just because it's a longer slog. Even if the environments are smaller than some of the other things on this list, it's the one that managed to get that existential dread of, oh God, if I've been playing this game for 3 hours and it's only been 15 minutes. Yeah. And I think that the same applies to Moria. So Moria would be my number 2.
And
then maybe Tecmo's Secret of the Stars is my 3.
I like that order. I think I'm going to go with that. I'm going to honor your distaste for Xenosaga and go ahead and give that one the gold over Moria, which is also very bad. And then, we got to get some Secret of the Stars on here. Yo, you got to get some Secret of the Stars on here.
Yeah.
That level sucked. Okay, Jeff, it's time. It's time for you to shoot your shot and correct a wrong that happened on a previous game of the year.
The difference is I'm not going to make people play 9 torture games over the course of the year, apparently. But with the crime that was committed to me, the violence that was done to me, cishet white guy, you hurt me on the internet. The actual best music. The nominees are Ys 3, all versions, but in my heart, it's the PC Engine or Sega Genesis version. Grandia 2, Xenosaga, some highlighting is already happening. Dragon Quest 1, Revengers of Vengeance, Bahamut Lagoon, and Suikoden. Revengers of Vengeance might hang.
Revengers of Vengeance's soundtrack is, if nothing else, it is
I think Braden, you said it best. It's like if you were to tell me Sega CD,
big
has
Sega CD
musical
energy.
Aesthetic, this is it, right?
It is this specific. I don't know if it is a specific set of synthesized instruments or just the certain kinds of MIDI samples that I associate with very specifically early Japanese CD-ROM games. But Revengers Vengeance is just that. The CD version of Ys 3 for the Turbo CD also fits that.
It does.
But it's a banger. Whereas Revengers Vengeance is just give me the MIDI drums.
So I'm sitting here
I'm sorry. I'm gonna look up this soundtrack to remember.
I'm gonna say something really controversial. I think Ace 3 should win this category. I'm trying to remember music from Xenosaga, and nothing's like coming to my head except for the menu music.
It's good shit.
It's good.
Calming music, and then we got where's the battle theme? Gotta get that fucking battle theme in here. It's good shit.
Like, I even think just the intro music to that game is very good.
Okay, I think the soundtrack in Revengers of Vengeance might be bad. Just listening to it again.
It's Breaking Bad for you.
Just like, it's just bad MIDI guitars.
It's a lot of bad MIDI guitar, but
isn't that what makes it so beautiful?
Is it actually good?
Should we have a separate next year, just like scum category for most scum thing? Because if we did Revengers of Vengeance soundtrack, just the soundtrack,
the GBA version of Third Age,
would be
the winner.
That's pretty much made out of scum.
Just the most compressed, MIDI-fied versions of, once again, one of the most iconic film soundtracks of the last 20-something years.
As soon as that title music started playing over the title screen on the GBA version, I just busted the fuck out laughing. It's just hysterical.
I think Dragon Quest 1 soundtrack is fine. I think War Crime Denying Composer Man has done better work.
Tell you what, though, he's made a lot of money. Now that he's dead, thankfully, off of just that one song from this one game.
Dun, 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 dun.
I got the bad music now.
That's the version I played. See, even with the SNES version, it's still a banger.
Yeah, like East 3.
East 3 is good in 3 different MIDI sound configurations.
I bet the PC 9801 version also good.
That's the boss theme on the SNES version. Or that's the first dungeon.
Yeah, like East.
I should have supported you, Jeff. I want to personally apologize for not standing with you for Yeast 3, but I let myself side with the wrong side of history.
It was.
And what did we end up voting for? What did we end up voting for? Best music?
Was it
Persona 4?
Or was it Persona 4?
Jeff, I hate to say it. Maybe we did.
Yeah, no, I think I said it on that show. It's like, if I'm going to lose to something, there's worse things to lose to. There's no shame in losing to Persona 4.
All right, so what's second and third? I mean, if I don't know if I want to vote for the jokey joke pick of Revengers of Vengeance for second. I really don't want to.
I think Suikoden has a solid PSX, early PSX soundtrack.
I think Grandia 2 might wind up being my second.
Grandia 2, also a pretty good soundtrack.
I enjoyed pretty much my entire time with Grandia 2. And I remember the soundtrack.
Like, Xenosaga has some... I really like the UMN theme, the menu theme.
But it's a lot of generic orchestral, anime music.
I mean, they literally got the London Philharmonic to do the orchestral stuff.
And as impressive as it is, it feels so generic.
It's very operatic,
incidental,
but
it's
and discordant in a lot of ways. It's like, here's this horrible, destroyed landscape, and you're listening to this sweeping, passionate, classical styled orchestral music.
Good version of Greensleeves, though.
All right, so I think Suikoden 2, then maybe Grandia 3? Or do you want to switch them?
We should play Grandia 3.
Oh, wait, I said Grandia 3. Shit, sorry, guys.
Either way, I'm getting what I want already.
Bahamut Lagoon had some good music, too. It's just we didn't play enough of it.
I'd take those two in either order. You guys can fight that out. Thanks.
Braden, what's second, what's third?
I'm hungry. Suikoden is second.
Suits me.
Okay.
Hey, Falcom, good job making one of the greatest video game soundtracks of all time.
What? You're telling me Falcom makes good video game music?
Stop if you heard this.
Are you telling me a reputation that has literally lasted for, let's say, more than 30 years continues to hold true? Because if you've heard East 9 soundtrack or even like the Cold Steel games, like guess what? Still fucking bangers.
Okay, we've made it to the big one.
Now I will introduce
Raiden.
off the deep end year 1 game of our year, the Marianas Trench Award.
I like the Dead Sea Award, right?
Or the Dead Sea Award.
All right, the Marianas Trench is the lowest point in the Earth, right? The Dead Sea is the lowest point on the surface of the Earth. It's deep.
Okay, so it's all the games we played. So it's Lord of the Rings Third Age console, Lord of the Rings Third Age GBA, Arabian Nights, Bahamut Lagoon, Soma Bringer, Grandia 2, Revengers of Vengeance, East 3, Wanderers from East, Draken, Xenosaga Episode 1, Der Will Zermacht, Fire Emblem 1, The Dragon of Darkness and the Sword of Light. I'll say the subtitle,
Thank
Jeff.
you.
Ultima 4, Quest of the Avatar, Dragon Quest the First, Tecmo Secret of the Stars / Aquatalion, and Genso Suikoden.
The Water Margin.
So, out of curiosity, how does this differ from our ranking that we've already published?
It doesn't.
So does
Unless we want to like
in one
relitigate.
win, or are we contrarians and we say, because now that I think about it, well, yes, Suikoden is the best game. What's the game that I keep thinking about? What's the game that has bored a hole into my brain and will forever be there no matter what? And the answer is clearly Xenosaga Episode 1.
Yes.
Suikoden is the better playing game.
Suikoden is... I do not dispute Suikoden being the best game we played.
But if we talk
recording.
about the game that made the case as to why we started this podcast,
it's Xenosaga.
One, yes, it's Xenosaga for two reasons. One,
Gino would
it's
never play it.
It's Gino and the main podcast would never play it. And two, it's so goddamn weird.
The fact that Monolith Soft, the Xenogears team went off, formed their own studio, and said, "Nope, fuck it, we'll do it again. Do it right this time. We won't have a second disc full of, just reading. We're gonna do it for real this time, boys." And this is what resulted. Just money. Just raw, uncut cocaine. Video game ambition.
Shame it didn't sell as well as they hoped.
Oh yeah, no, it didn't sell as well as they hoped because it was going to be a 6-part series, and then it was cut down to 3. And the latter 2 games did not sell over 1 million copies, which I believe the first one did. So I think Xenosaga as a whole is something we will have to examine for ourselves in the future. But I think Xenosaga Episode 1 as an emblematic encompassment of what this podcast's terrible mission statement. I think
the
that's
games
fair.
no other Deep Listens network co-host will play, and to examine it with a fine-tuned comb as if it is a main podcast.
Fine-tuned comb.
I mean, we've literally had to do 3 podcasts on that game, and all of that is just explaining the plot.
And we still skip stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff, do you have anything you'd like to say about what game you feel like defined our year, the game of our year?
The only other thing I would see making there's 2 that I would maybe make a case for. The amount of shit talking and joy and consideration and literally streamed hours Deep Listens has generated off the back of Draken this year.
Raised money for charity.
I feel like as emblematic, I don't know how you can become more iconic, right? Like Draken, I don't want to discount it, right? Like, Draken's an important. I fucking hate it. I don't want to play it at all. But boy, what a nice like crystalline thing. So like different spirit, probably not the right thing for this category.
Yeah, and you're right. Like M challenged all 3 of us that she could finish the game, and she is on a mission to prove us wrong. Like, it's the gift that keeps on giving. Yeah. Very similar to Xenosaga. One could argue Draken is a gift that gave for an entire year.
The only other I think potential pick here for me would be Grandia 2, which is a game that I is it as good as Final Fantasy VI? I don't know, probably not.
No.
But I don't think it ever
No.
aspired to be that. What it is, it's just a good time from start to finish. It's a thing that a friend showed to me, and I enjoyed very thoroughly. It justified a lot of idiot money I spent on a Sega Dreamcast and making it do crime very good.
Yeah.
God, and
I mean, Xenosaga, it was literally the impetus for this podcast.
You're correct.
I want to say this in favor of Grandia. I feel like Grandia 2 was the game that made us realize what we wanted out of the podcast the most. We realized we cut the shit with the lecture series. We realized we wanted to play weird games from the past. I feel like we really defined what this podcast was thanks to Grandia in a weird way.
At some point, we need to play CRPGs, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that my big regret is we started with Ultima 4, and then we kind of lost the plot.
Here's the other thing I'd say against Grandia 2. I feel like there's a world where the Deep Listens people would play it. Because it's very approachable.
I think Gino would like Grandia 2, except when he's like, the combat's just really easy. There's no cards in it. Where's the sad black mage boy?
Xenosaga does have cards. Maybe Gino would play Xenosaga.
No, he wouldn't.
Maybe he would play Xenosaga. Yeah, I floated Grandia 2 for you, Chris. If you're like, nope, give it to Xenosaga, I'm gonna give it to Xenosaga. That's fine with me.
Yeah, I think that's fair because all future games almost feel as if they're going to be judged by, does it give us the same rush as Xenosaga, right?
Is it just literally over 7 hours of cutscenes of just...
Does a laser come out of a lady's womb?
I think we're okay with giving Grandia 2 second, then, right? And then Suikoden in third because it's the best game.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I think that's fine. We don't need to make some convoluted list. We already have one anyway. So I'm also, by the way, in favor of just not having a list anymore. Just to put that on record.
Yeah.
No, I kind of like it.
I like the list. I think I think maybe we do an episode where we just look at sequels to games we have already played.
Where are they now?
Okay, then I'm picking Grandia Extreme.
Final Fantasy Echoes, Shadows of Valentia.
Grandia Extreme's expensive.
I finally play that copy of Shadows of Valentia.
Whatever said you needed to buy it legally.
But I have this $300 retro tink.
You sure
Ultima
do.
5. It's apparently one of the lesser Ultimas.
Yeah, Ultima 5 is cool.
Ultima 5
uses
is
mostly the same interface as Ultima 4, though.
Maybe we play Draken 2.
Dragon, what is it called?
Dragon View.
Japan exclusive. No, it's not Japan exclusive. It's
Super Famicom. Yeah, SNES exclusive side scroller.
Yeah, Draken's weird Japanese Half-Life. Whatever. I guess there's a lot of Western PC games of that vintage that had weird Japanese Half-Lives.
Yeah, wizardry. Yeah. Now that we look at this list, I think Braden mentioned it. What's some things that in the future, maybe this is like the postscript, maybe Jeff plays some cutesy music. But the postscript, what do you hope to accomplish in the next year?
In the next year, I think I'm just going to echo what has already been said. Really got to get some more CRPGs on me. Literally put them in me.
And I know we've already committed to the fan request stuff, but I think that all three of us should, well, technically, I guess my first pick was Quest for Glory, which technically that counts, but I think we should all pick, when it's our turn to pick, we should all pick a CRPG.
Yeah, because I've been tempted to pick Xenosaga 2, but I feel like, no, actually, I'm going to make you idiots play a game I like.
But I'm down for it.
Because
but I think
the dark thing, the reason why I haven't picked any CRPGs is just because I've played most of them.
Yeah.
I've played the major CRPGs from the late 90s, early aughts, golden era.
And I don't know about you guys, how you guys feel about wanting to do multi-episode podcasts for one game, but I kind of want us
to do 3 episodes for one game anymore.
I don't think we need to do it, but I do kind of like the larger assignments from time to time.
But
it's
Xenosaga
like with the main,
2 and
the main
3
podcast always picks at least one game per year where they do 2 to 3 episodes for a single game. And I think that I'm okay with us doing it at least once per year.
Chris, you're probably going to really like this, but there's a world I'm entertaining where the game we're playing right now gets more than one episode. I'm entertaining the idea because I don't know where I'm ultimately gonna find. I think I have an inkling of where I'm falling.
I think I'm the most positive on this endeavor.
You
asshole!
You 100% are. I will never be able to match your enthusiasm for this thing, but I really want to give it a fair shake because I see something in here. I really see it.
You know what? God damn it! Fine, let's finish Ogre Battle.
I don't know. Don't say that.
I don't. Listen, I don't even know if I'm gonna finish Ogre Battle. I just think that game is neat, and y'all are being like, it has mechanics. Oh,
no, it's not just mechanics. It's the fact that it's the same thing over and over again, and it's got a bunch of fiddly bullshit in it.
That's every video game. That's every RPG. You're just describing RPGs.
Okay. So anyways, guys, thanks for listening to Off the Deep End for an entire year. I feel like we learned a lot about each other. We learned a lot about games and gaming, and game culture.
I am a person of lordly caliber.
We have to. Jeff has a bag of community suggestions where he'll put his hand in the bag and pull out a name.
Yeah. I don't have that document in front of me, but someday I'm sure I will, and that'll be good. Maybe I should pull that up right now.
You goddamn assholes!
Here it is.
All right.
Yay.
Fine.
Yeah. What have we got on this list? We have some Western RPGs in here. We have one Western RPG. You know what? We actually have two, if you count Shadow Madness, which was made, I think, in the United States.
By Crave. Crave made Shadow Madness.
There you go. That counts, technically.
They're re-releasing Shadow Madness.
By the way,
by the time you hear this, dear listener, Shadow Madness will be purchasable on Steam.
We were going to find a way anyway, but...
I'm going to play I can't... How long is Shadow Madness, you fucking assholes?
Don't talk to our fan base like that.
It's a PS1 JRPG, so it's at least 30 hours.
Yeah, it's 30 to 45.
How many discs did it have? This is a basic little bitch thing for me to say, but I'm like, maybe my pick should just be one of those fucking Witcher games, just so I can get it off my plate, just get it over with.
I like those games. We should not play The Witcher 3 just because everyone's played that game.
Jeff, you should pick Witcher 1.
I'm telling you.
You want to see the
I've
world
played
burn.
Witcher 1 enough to know I'm not picking Witcher 1.
Jeff, pick a Piranha Bytes game.
No, pick a Spiders game.
I bought Bound by Flame for like $2. Just saying. Thanks, everyone, for tuning into this episode. We'll be back. There'll be an Ogre Battle episode soonish. It will be about Ogre Battle 64. We will probably talk an awful lot about Queen references. Maybe that'll probably be the fun intro idea that I have. Spoilers. Until then, thank you. Let's go in reverse order. Thank you, Chris.
I think this podcast series is going to turn me into an alcoholic. I don't have enough wine to get through this another year.
Look, you were the one who committed to outlasting the Confederacy, so get it in you. Thanks, Braden.
I'm going to play a lot of Total War Warhammer 3.
Are those Western RPGs?
Sure, there are RPG elements.
Can we just start a Total War podcast? Or we just...
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Let's meet in about an hour. I'm going to reinstall Shogun.
Oh, God,
I'm going to reinstall the Mongol Invasion expansion.
Wait, you're going to play OG?
Fuck yeah.
Oh, OG Shogun 1.
Koreans that throw those
you're
grenades.
Sick in the head.
Those Kensai sword saints that you put on a bridge, and the sprites just like taller than all the other sprites. It's a great game.
All right, everybody, remember, so many of you subscribe or listen on the RSS feed. It's $1 to do deep listens. Please do it. Patreon.com/deep listens, please. We're very close to being forced to play Unlimited Saga.
So close, I think. We'll get there.
I'm going to hate it.
Thanks, and remember, there's no such thing as cheating in a Total War game. Bye.
Bye.
The AI is cheating already.
The AI in Total War games are dumb, which is why they need to cheat.
God.
And the thing with Warhammer is because there are so many different types of units, the AI does not know how to deal with them.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.
This episode of Off the Deep End was recorded and edited on the traditional and ancestral territory of the Nisqually or Nisqually people, who have lived on and stewarded these lands and waters since times immemorial.